PhD student in W.E.B. Du Bois Department of Afro-American Studies. My talk really tried to briefly chronicle the history of Black nationalism and Black power, particularly starting with Phillis Wheatley, moving through to Martin Delany, and really trying to describe how language, literature, and the need for land all tie together.
My name is Manuel Matos. I started a doctoral program in sociology at UMass Amherst. My presentation today was about how knowledge of self and self-awareness about Dominican Blackness throws into question the identities and the relations of Dominican Haitians that are based on racism and fear and exclusion of each other's past, present.
Hello, I'm Carlos Valderrama. I'm a graduate student at UMass Sociology Department. I just presented the historical sociology of Black resistance, and the idea was to trace how Black people in Colombia have been struggling for their right. And the other thing important is how we can make international connection in order to defend Black people everywhere, because racism is not only in Colombia, it's everywhere.
In the sugarcane plantations. So then what happens to Dominican Haitian relations and identity when we start thinking about Black Dominican history? What happens to our textbooks? What happens to the idea of who owns land? What happens to the idea of political organization? Is it all based from the top in the state?
So I'm going to discuss in my presentation how this term Black becomes appropriated by Black people here, producing a stage upon which Black writers within the United States could redefine their relationship to American society. When we talk about Marcus Garvey, when we think of Black capitalism, it draws directly from Booker T. Washington and his notion of captains of industry, particularly in the Black community.
A lot of our generation grew up in a sense of competitiveness and division among people of color and not unity. I grew up in a very strict Haitian household where my dad would always make sure every time we would go to school, at first he would always put me in like predominantly Asian or predominantly white schools. And anytime I was getting ready to go to school or interact with anybody, my dad would always tell me, "You're not Black, you're Haitian. And you need to remember that." And I couldn't go outside and play with the Black kids. If we were watching the news, he would say, "Oh, those Black Americans, look what they're doing." And so my father made it very intentional to make sure that he always segregated that identity from me. And so I think on college campuses that we're very competitive. We're in an institution where we're forced to compete against each other, and we're forced to think, all right, I'm here for my degree. Why should I give a helping hand to someone else who's here for the degree? Or why should I just say hello? And I could possibly make someone else's day better when I'm just here about myself, and we're not really thinking about the sense of community.
Not aware of the fact, or they want to ignore the fact that Africans were there and that we did have slaves. And all they think about is when they go to sign off on what they consider their races. They all say, "I'm white, I'm white."
Yeah, no, we're all Black. Based on the presentation, even though we come from different ancestries, like different islands, we all experience a similar struggle, and we need to work together. Even on this campus, we're not the dominant race on this campus. And I appreciate everyone's support coming out, Hispanic community, Haitian, Dominican, Black, Cape Verde too. I love y'all.